All right, everybody. Sorry about that. All right, everybody. Rick here on this wonderful July 25th. Okay, so we are very fortunate today to have from the St. Rose office, James Bridgeford. Jim, if you could just hit *6 on your phone, and then we'll be able to hear you because I've already muted everybody. And you're going to hear that bell, ding, 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 going off the whole time because people are going to keep joining. So hit *6 and then let me know when you've done that.
All right.
There he is.
Should be good to go.
All right. So just to get us started, Jim, tell us a little about yourself, how long you've been in the business, maybe your production level, all that good stuff, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been in the business. August 1st will be 2 years that I've been affiliated with the St. Rose office. Came from a background of gaming, casino gaming, where I was a director of field service, predominantly my entire career. That was essentially my title. So had a lot of experience dealing with customer issues, nonstop, responsiveness, so forth and so on regarding that. Production-wise, I did 85K in GCI last year. I'm currently about 53% ahead of that mark for 22.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So you're probably going to end up almost doubling now what you did your first year.
That's what I hope to. Yes.
Yeah. So from
Absolutely.
85 to probably a 170, 180. Okay, that's good income. I don't know what you made before, but that's good income in this world, especially when you can play golf once in a while and have control of your schedule, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's been a tremendous, just change from the corporate environment that I was used to for so many years. However, I did try to adopt that mindset upon starting here at the branch. I treated it like a job where I had to be here between these four walls every day.
Right. Tell us a little about that. So, what kind of hours did you put in at your old job per week, would you say?
Well, unfortunately, I guess the slot machine side of gaming is one where they like to get all of their work done early before the guests come down from waking up and start to play. So they want you off the floor. So anyway, I would be one of the positions I had most recently was where I had to be there at 5 o'clock. So I would wake up at 3:30, get dressed to be in the office by 5. So getting here by 8, 7:38 didn't really pose a challenge to me. And again, I wanted to be able to get in, practice scripts, do a little role playing, and then be able to get on the phones by 7:45, 8 o'clock each day.
Nice.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, good. So you took that. This is a real job mentality. Start at a certain time, get a certain amount of things done, and then it's obviously worked for you too, right? It sounds good.
It has. Yeah. It just allowed me to, as I've been told by multiple people, the lion's share of your most productive prospecting work takes place in AM hours. So wanted to take advantage of that, and then do any contact maintenance and database cleanup, that type of thing after you get that initial wave of prospecting in the morning hours.
Yeah, and you spend time at you go to the prospecting events that we have. You also have spent time at the Success Center. So that obviously give you a little bit of, what to say, how to say it, role playing, all that good stuff, right?
Yeah. I took advantage of the role playing we do here. Initially we're doing it here at 8:30 every day at the office, and then the Success Center, which has been backed up to 11 now. But yeah, I used to take advantage of that as well, and really just being around the office, I felt initially in my first year was invaluable. Hearing the jargon that other agents are using, the different situations that they come into contact with, different nuances of each deal, really helps me to understand, that a different side of the business that I wouldn't have been exposed to had I not been around here.
Right. Yeah, I think that exposure. You came out of the gates hot and you did well. I mean, that's a really good first year, and then you're on a really good pace for your second year too. Treating it like a business. Well, I'm sure you've seen other people not treat it like that, haven't you?
I sure have, yeah. I mean, I saw a lot of people that started with me that you just kind of fizzled out for whatever reason. Maybe they got back into their previous industry. Maybe it wasn't a good fit for them. But, yeah, I tried to, one of the things I wanted to bring up as well is it's vital, is to be able to get on the phones, get comfortable being on the phones as quickly as possible, whether that's through maybe you've got some buyer leads, maybe you've got, just listed, just sold is a great way to engage, a wide variety of prospects. But the sooner you get comfortable on the phone, the better off you're going to be, and there's really no two ways around that.
Right. Preaching to the choir, my man. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
If you're, and I was a phone guy myself too. I mean, I know here we have door knockers and people that go out and do that, and that's great. I would definitely do that. But where I'm from, I'd primarily use the phone. And like you said, because once you get good at the phone and comfortable, it's a very efficient tool to set appointments, isn't it? Absolutely,
yeah. Getting comfortable, and then getting comfortable, I guess, keys around with knowing the scripts. When you know the scripts, you're able to focus and really engage on a level that you can't if you're wondering about the next thing you're going to ask. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
yep.
Yeah, that's a key. That's a key factor, within that I think it's important to point out.
Yes, definitely. What was your biggest surprise? Like you coming from the gaming industry, you have a job, you got to be there at a certain time, and then you come into this, and now you're an independent, contractor, a solo entrepreneur, business for yourself. In that whole transition, what's a couple of things that surprised you the most? Because I'm sure that other people are experiencing it too.
I would say just the level of dedication that it takes. The overarching thing is the level of dedication that it takes. It's, as Mike Ferry will say, you'll hear him say, real estate is simple, but it's not easy. And a lot of people get into the business thinking that, it's like falling off a log, and you really have got to put in the time, you've really got to put in the effort with your contacts and your SOI, and cultivate, anything that you do have as far as leads. Because that's probably another thing I'll say along that line is the amount of time it takes from contact to close. That's really, you think that, it could be anywhere from 3 months, it could be a year and a half before that initial person actually pulls the trigger and you're able to realize a paycheck from that prospect. And so that, you keep that in the back of your mind, and that should fuel you to continue to keep driving, because you never know. It may sound great, and it's like, oh, this is a slam dunk, and something may happen, and you might not see a paycheck from them for 6 to 8 months, easy.
Yeah. I was just going to say, that's Earl White's line. I have a great conversation today. It's a paycheck 6 months from now. I love that line.
Right.
It's a great line.
So that may be the biggest thing. And you just can't ever count on anything. That you may have an amazing conversation. You're like, oh my gosh, you start counting or spending the money already, and it just doesn't come to fruition for any number of reasons. Especially when you're especially if you're dealing with buyers, which makes it so important to focus on getting those listings.
Okay. All right, good. All right. So I agree with you 100%. So it's just, it's a unique business. You got to fill that pipeline. But once that pipeline gets filled, it can be pretty consistent and at a very good income.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. So what's your breakdown? Like, I know, let's say you end up doubling your business this year. How many, and you told us the money, thank you, but how many transactions is that for you?
That would be 16 or 18. I mean, and I'm counting. Okay. I'm basically talking 2023 right now, because 22 is we're coming up on the end of that, and so I'm basically counting 23 numbers right now. I would like to 18 or 20 transactions is what that would look like for me. Okay.
All right, good. And what is your breakdown right now? 50% listings, 40% listings versus buyers? How does that break down for you, listing sold versus buyer sale?
No, mine is more like it's probably in the area of 35-40% listings to buyers. had an opportunity to work with quite a few buyers, and I've learned a ton through that experience. I love helping buyers and working with buyers. It's a completely different animal in terms of working with buyers versus listings, but I don't think that you should you shouldn't deter yourself from working with buyers.
No.
It's, like I said,
Of course not.
No, absolutely not. Because that will, hopefully, if you take good care of them down the road, that can turn into additional business. But yeah,
no, I agree 100%.
What's that?
So 35-65 is a good ratio in in this type of market because it's moving, right?
Right.
And the longer you're in the business, remember you're in your second year. The longer you're in your business, that'll revert. Like when you've been in the business like 10 years, it'll probably be the exact opposite because now you have a sphere like you just mentioned, and you'll be listing the people that you sold houses to. So you're building that pipeline as we speak, which is a really so it's good. It's excellent that you came out of the gate as hot as you did, and you're doing as well. And like when I did the panel downstairs that day, it was very, very awesome to hear everybody's answers, including yours, and everybody does it a little different too. So there is no right and wrong way. There's just more efficient, more effective ways. I mean, there are people that make a lot of money as buyer agents, a lot of money. I know a couple of them in particular, so
Absolutely.
However you want to do it is what's good. Now, you mentioned Mike Ferry. Did you end up going to the retreat last week for a few days or the whole thing?
Yeah, I sure did. I did the bonus day on Monday, and I was there all the way through Friday. There were quite a few St. Rose agents there as well, which was great to see, and got a lot out of it.
Yeah.
I did wind up signing up for the one-on-one coaching, which I think is
good for you.
Yeah, so anybody that really wants to take their business to the next level, it seems like all of the top performers, the more successful agents here at the office, for them it seems like the feedback is like this is a no-brainer if you really want to go to the next level. The cost is basically the equivalent of one smaller deal, and it could lead to God knows what. So
yeah. It's probably like it's not even half a deal, really. Well, actually, no, you're right. It's the cost of about one deal. You're right.
About $9,000, and that's so.
For the year.
To me, it seemed like a great way to invest in myself, and it's not just the accountability, with the coach getting on your ass every week it is, or whether the calls come in, but I believe it's the insight, the little tidbits of information, different ways to handle objections from the best within that organization, and that trickles down. So that's really what I feel the value is. Yep.
Awesome. No, I think that's a wise decision. The accountability, and even as I've told Mark here, people take coaching more seriously when they're paying for it. You just can't help it. It's just part of the gig.
Absolutely,
right?
Yeah. I mean, I think you're kind of an idiot if you're shelling out this money, and I mean that's like a very expensive gym membership that never gets used. It doesn't make any sense.
I agree, 100%. Okay, so you're at the retreat. Give us a couple of tidbits. What are things that really stuck out to you as far as hearing from either the bonus day with the panelists, and that's how I started with Mike, by the way. I used to do one of those bonus sessions like in the mid-'90s. I'm kind of dating myself here, but I used to do those, and then I became one of the first one-on-one coaches. Myself and John Ferber from Toronto became the first two full-time coaches, and on from there. So I'm very familiar with that system, and Mike's awesome trainer, great guy. And you hear a lot of great things, but a lot of times you hear them from other agents as well, right, when you're there?
Yeah, it's a tremendous networking opportunity on top of the knowledge that's gained. Different agents from, obviously, tons from California, Canada, East Coast, met agents from all over the place. And back to your original question from a couple minutes ago, I think the biggest thing that we took away, a lot of people took away from that, is that we are, for the first time in maybe a little over 2 years, entering a quote-unquote normal market, right? Mm-hmm. And that a lot of opportunity is coming with that. More listings, inventory is going up, so it's creating opportunities for people on both sides, whereas we weren't getting that as much, I think, especially last year and also in 21. also in 20. People were just kind of, if you were on the fence, I think a lot of people may have stayed on the fence just because of that whole, I don't know where I'm going to go. Well, now you've got the market's starting to churn a little bit, and I think that's a great thing for all realtors.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what happens like late August, early September. I have a feeling it might click into a slightly better gear, but even if it stays just like this is a great market. It's a great market. Historically, it's an incredible market.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember, James, like the late 80s, early 90s, this was my mantra. I take 3 listings, I have 1 sale. So if I wanted 3 closings in a month, I took 9 listings. That's how incredibly, it was like I would be the version of 2007, 8, 9, right? So, every market has its intricacies that you just can't ignore and follow. The last 2 years, well, think about this. You've been in real estate in the 2 best years in the history of real estate, basically.
Yeah, right.
But it's good to hear that you're willing to, and I would be excited, especially if you're willing to follow some of the stuff with the Mike Ferry system and other things. It'll be an incredible market for you because a lot of people will leave the business then, just because it becomes even more work, more dedication, like you said.
Yeah, that was another thing that, Mike said, or one of his speakers said that we're going to skim a lot of the non-performers, the people that are just kind of mailing it in out of the industry. It's swelled to a point of additional competition, but now that things are starting to normalize, you're going to get a lot of those people that really don't want to put in the time and the effort and hit those goals. They're going to see them go away.
Yeah. No, it's true. The people that are skimming because the market's incredible and, you can produce condensation on a mirror and have a pulse and you can do okay in real estate, but that's changing. Yeah. Just like I remember when I was coaching Leslie Carver when I was at Mike Ferry, she changed from traditional into REOs and then short sales and then back again. So it's great to be at the cutting edge when you can see, you can't always guess what's going to happen, but the numbers usually have the answer, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You sound like you're a bit analytical. Would that be accurate?
I am. I'm a driver with analytical flair, I guess, if you will. Yeah,
the book would call that your secondary is analytical, your primary is
the
driver.
secondary.
I know exactly what you mean. Yeah. Yep. No, that's cool. Yeah. So that's great. So okay, if we're talking to an agent like yourself who's just getting into the business and wants to come out of the gate hot, give them the 3. Like, what are your 3 best pieces of advice? And if you want to add another one, you can. But at least 3 pieces of advice you'd give them to focus on right from the get-go.
Right from the get-go, get yourself into the office. As I said a few minutes ago, be around those agents that are in the know, that are doing a lot of deals. Talk to them, go out to lunch with them, and try to gain any insight that you can from them. Number 2, I would say, as I said again, role-playing and getting on the phones as quickly as possible. The sooner you get comfortable with being on the phone in any capacity, the easier it's going to be to make those more difficult calls, such as the expireds, for sale by owners, and so forth. But the comfort level has to be there before you can move up to that next level, because those conversations do get more challenging. And as I said, the role-playing is going to give you a foundation of what to say, those objection handlers. And then the next thing, actually I got a couple, one other thing is swinging for the fences, okay? You can always, for me, if I'm going to put in the time for it, I would like to go after a little bit higher dollar amount in terms of deals. If I'm calling expired, or if I'm calling just listed, just sold, you're probably going to get a better response or have a better time prospecting calling $500,000 homes versus $300,000 homes. You know what I mean? The time, effort is all going to be the same. The paycheck's going to be bigger. So why not swing for that bigger paycheck if you're going to be putting in the time?
Right. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So focus your prospecting efforts around higher, dollar volume listings and so forth.
There you go. Higher dollar volume. Absolutely.
Yep. Now,
so,
I would
and then
say I would add
throw another extra one that I like, and
sure.
it goes back to that prospecting book, Fanatical Prospecting. I mentioned it in our panel, is sharpening the saw. And for me, that's in a nutshell, that means look for ways to add time back to your day. Packing a lunch versus, taking an hour to drive home or go out and get something and come back. That's a little extra hour of prospecting that you are missing out on. For me in particular, limiting my extracurricular fun during the week. If I'm the type that if I go out and have a drink or two, I feel that the next day, even if it's not a late night. It's going to take something off of my edge for the next day. Does that make sense? So
yeah, no, it does. It's like alcohol sucks the energy out of you the next day. And I think I haven't drank in 15 years now, but I remember that the older I got, the worse it got as far as that goes.
Yeah, I mean it's a scientific fact that your body processes alcohol slower the older you get. So the impact of it is definitely it's undeniable. As time passes. So I try to watch that as much as I can during the week, so I'm ready to go and get the most out of that next day that I can.
Good thought. Yeah, I think it's I think what you're saying ultimately is learn how to delay gratification a little bit, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Right?
Yeah.
Because if you can do that a little bit, that's how you start a 401k, or in your case, a simplified employee pension, right? You guys, you can, as an independent contractor, you can do a SEP, and a SEP is amazing to save money in, but you can't spend all the money you make, and you got to pay your taxes. And so if you take that delay gratification right down the line, you can do this business and really do well. Unfortunately, some people have a hard time with that.
Yeah, and it can be tough, just depending on your lifestyle, your friends, and what they have going on. I put a star next to one of these points. It was pandemic lessons learned from the ferry training, and it says exactly that. Killer of high productivity is celebrating. The fastest way to slow production down is comparison. Okay? Comparison is the thief of joy, and I think Roosevelt said that.
Yep.
Yeah,
Killer
of high productivity is celebrating.
Yep, I agree. I mean, you can celebrate a little bit, but you got to, take a vacation, do something. But if you're constantly celebrating, like every day, wins, you're not going to have eventually it's going to catch up with you, and you're not going to have the same energy, enthusiasm, and so forth to carry it too. So great points.
Momentum. Same point is momentum works both ways. Going
it sure
good
does.
Momentum and bad momentum. That was another takeaway that I had last week. In some of these, I can't remember where I put it, but it's in here somewhere.
Yeah, no, it's so true. Like when you're eating right, and then your body goes down, that momentum carries you down to the right way. But when you're eating wrong, your momentum carries you up to the wrong way. And either way, it takes time to get back, right?
Absolutely.
That's such a great lesson too. I really like the delayed gratification one too, because as people in the world, in this world today, that's not done very well. But it's really nowhere near as hard as it seems.
No, it's not. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I mean, I don't know if it's part of American culture, but it's it is what it is, and you've got to figure out a way to manage it.
Oh, I would say it's definitely part of American culture, and we, so if you learn how to do it, then you really separate yourself. It's just kind of like when you came into the business, Jim. Then you started prospecting, you started role playing. That's why you've had these gains. You're doing things that very few people are willing to do in the business. It's really that simple.
Which is surprising because, I mean, they pretty much give you a roadmap, what the most successful people do. And there are a lot of different ways to skin a cat in this business. It just depends on who you are and your SOI and a lot of different variables. But these are tried and true methods that the best seem to be using. And so I can't imagine anybody without any sales experience like myself had jumping into this and not trying to at least try those things to see how well they're going to work and adopt them and try to develop those skills.
Yep, I agree. I think that's why when I met Mike and Floyd Wickman and Jerry Bresser and Richard Flint and Daniel Kennedy and all these people in Vegas in 1989, I think because nobody from my market was there, I don't know if that would have affected me, but I was like, oh, I'll be the only one doing this there. That got me excited because no one else was calling expire. I was like, oh my God, I never even thought of this stuff. And then I started doing it and it started working incredibly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. And you're at a company where you have a bunch of people doing what you're doing, which is great because not everybody has that.
No, it's everybody's seen. As I said, there's a lot of top producers within this office that have adopted that training and drank the Kool-Aid, so to speak, 100%.
No, I love it. And that's why I love it. When I took this job 8 years ago, I was like this. And you know what? The St. Rose office is a little different too. It has a high average. This is St. Rose is the number one branch with production per person as far as number of transactions divided. Take number of transactions divide by the amount of. This office is the highest one, not by a lot. I shouldn't say that. It's the highest one in Nevada. There's one in California that's slightly higher.
Okay.
But that's good to be in the top three of, we have 30-something branches. That's pretty damn good. Yeah. And, you came out of the gate hot because you're willing to do other stuff. And I love what you said, too. It's surprising. See, there was a book years ago, and Mike talks about it every now and then. It's called, what was it called? If It Ain't Broke, Break It. Okay? And what was that guy's name? Bob something. But it was all a book about that. He had 10 things. And his first point was, some people get it, some people don't. Become one of the ones that get it. And anybody can get it because everything you just went through they're not talents, they're disciplines and traits that anybody can acquire if they're important enough, right?
Yeah, if you're focused in and want to make it part of your repertoire, absolutely.
Yep, absolutely. All right, Jim, I just want to say thank you very much for taking your time out this morning. This was incredibly helpful and awesome. I really appreciate you, my man.
Absolutely. I appreciate you having me on, Rick.
All right. Thanks. I'll see you soon, too. Bye, everybody.
All right. You guys take care. Bye-bye.
Appreciate it. You too.